My name is James H. Harvey III, and I was living in Mountaintop, Pennsylvania. No, I'm sorry, living in New Station, Pennsylvania. And I was in my front yard one day, and a flight of P-40s flew over. They're in formation, and I said, I'd like to do that one day. So I finished school, and in January of 1943, I tried to enlist in the Army Air Corps. And they told me they weren't taking enlistments at that time. Well, that was the height of the war. But, I knew what they were talking about. They just didn't want me because of the color of my skin. Well, in March of '43, I was drafted into the Army. I caught the train in Fort, Pennsylvania, heading to Fort Meade, Maryland. I got to the train station the next morning in Washington, D.C. We had a layover about 2 hours. So I got off the train, went and had breakfast at a restaurant. Had my breakfast, came back to get on the car that I was in, and they says, nope, you can ride in the car where Negroes ride. Welcome to the South. Up until this point, I'd never experienced racism at all, none whatsoever. I was treated like anybody else all the way through school. And then we took the train from there into Fort Meade, Maryland. Fort Meade, Maryland, I was issued a uniform and toilet articles. Took a physical and a written exam. And then they sent me to Jefferson Barracks, Missouri for 30 days of basic training. When I finished my basic training in Jefferson Barracks, Missouri, and based on my written exam that I had taken at Fort Meade, they put me in the Army Air Corps. Army Air Corps engineers, driving bulldozers, graders, carryalls, all that equipment. And my mission was to go into the jungles in the Pacific, doze out an area and build an airfield. I was stationed at Fort Belvoir at this time. And Fort Belvoir, Virginia, we'd go out every day and practice. And I said, this isn't for me. So I applied for cadet training. I was accepted. And there were 10 of us that took the test. 9 whites and myself. We did this at Bowling Field, the Washington area. After the tests were over, 2 of us passed, a white, myself. And from there, Keesler Field, Biloxi, Mississippi, for 30 days of basic training. 30 more days, that is. I finished my basic training in Keesler Field, and they sent me to Tuskegee. Now, all the people that went to Tuskegee came through Keesler. So anyway, I reported into Tuskegee, assigned a class. I was in 44I, that was my class designation. Primary was, we were housed on the Institute, Sage Hall, and so I reported into there after about 3 months of being at Tuskegee Army Airfield. Half of the class would fly in the morning, and the other half would go to the Institute for classes. And I flew the PT-19 in basic. That's a low-wing monoplane. It looks like a fighter. I enjoyed it a lot. I soloed, and that was quite an experience. I was ready for it though. The instructor got out of the plane, he said, "It's all yours. take it around the field a couple times, shoot a couple touch and go landings, and then next one comes to a full stop, which I did. And like I said, I enjoyed that. It was different, something I'd never done before. And we finished primary, and we were sent to Tuskegee Army Airfield. Tuskegee Army Airfield, we had basic and advanced training. Now the white cadets, each phase of their training, primary, basic, and advanced, they did it at a different airfield. But since things were segregated back then, we did all of ours right there at Tuskegee. One airfield that belonged to the Institute, which was Moulton Field, where we got our primary, and then Tuskegee Army Airfield, where we got our basic and advanced. Now our instructors in primary were black, and they were graduates from the Tuskegee Institute Flying School. And what they did, their main job was to teach us to fly, of course, but also condition us for what we would receive when we started flying with white instructors. Now, white instructors would do everything they could to provoke us to do something so they could wash us out. And I'll tell you why they wanted to wash us out. The first class that went through Tuskegee, well, the washout rate for white cadets at that time was running at 63%. The first class that went through Tuskegee, went through Moulton Field, the Negro pilots, we were called Negroes then, was 40%. And they said, no, this will never happen again. So they made sure they had a washout rate of 73% or higher, 10% higher than the white cadets. And plus, our flying training program was designed for our failure. When they started the program, pardon me for rambling, but I'm thinking of these things as I go along. When they started the program, they said, we'll make them a fighter squadron, the 99th Fighter Squadron. Now think about that. A fighter squadron consists of 25 pilots. 25. However, they didn't think any of us would graduate, so that 25 figure was high. As a matter of fact, they thought it was a waste of time and money to teach us to fly aircraft. Anyway, the instructors in our primary instructors would call us all kinds of names, like the whites would be calling us, to provoke us to do something to where we would lose it and we'd be washed out. So anyway, they conditioned us. So those of us that finished primary went on to basic, and we had the white instructors in basic and white instructors in advanced. Now, everything we did had to be perfect. Now, the white cadets, all they had to do was demonstrate that they could get the aircraft off the ground and back on the ground safely. Everything we did had to be perfect.